Hi, Eman. Thank you for your next batch of essays. So let's have a look at this task one about rainfall, right? The graph provides information about the rainfall rate between January and December in England, Scotland, and Wales in the year 2018. Right, perfect. In January, England's rainfall in England was just above 100 mil, being higher than that in Wales at just under this. Okay, Wales saw the lowest rate of rainfall in April, whereas in England, June had the least amount of rain. I would say this sounds a bit odd. Whereas in England, June was the month that registered the least amount of rain because mm, this sounds a bit like June is a name and this creates a confusion. We have to avoid any accidental confusions. As much rain fell in England as in Wales in the summer in July, which represents the highest peak of raining for both countries. Okay, I get the point, but I think we need to rewrite this. First, we need a cohesive device here. We need a linking word. Something simple, perhaps as further on. Further on in July, because right, you are describing June and then you move on to July. Further on in July, both England and Wales saw an equal amount of precipitation, which also represented the highest peak of, let's say, rain amount or rain quantity for both countries. Something like this. Between August and October, the figures for Wales leveled out at nearly 50 mil. However, and I would do this, right, because there are very few cases when you can put however between two commas. However, in England, the figures rose to around this much in September, following a decline to almost this much in August. I do understand what I'm reading, but it's difficult for me to follow. It's difficult to follow, and when that is difficult, something needs to be fixed. Okay. Perhaps, we should keep the verbal commentary and, I don't know, skip the numbers. Sometimes it is unnecessary to look at the numbers because the numbers are all here. There are so many numbers in this chart. But if you say that, however, in England the figures rose to 125 in September after a light decline in August. No, if you put September before August, that's why it's confusing. So perhaps you should go chronologically. In England, let's say August registered, let's say an average amount of precipitation, which was 100 mil, which rose slightly in September, and that's it, because the rise from 100 to 125 is not such a considerable increase. Okay, rose, I'm looking at the verbs. Okay. Looking at Scotland, there were sharp fluctuations from January to April at approximately this and this respectively. Okay, so you mean 125 for January and 35 for April. Moreover, in January, Scotland's rate of what was higher than that of England and Wales. You can say Scotland's amount of precipitation, and you see I keep using the word precipitation because that's one of the main synonyms for the concept of rain here. Now, March and October were the top rainy months in Scotland, while February was the least, in contrast to the other two nations. Okay, I wouldn't say nations, I would rather say regions or parts of the country. Nations is more about people. Although Scotland was initially the highest, England outraced it at the end in December. And there is no full stop here. Let's not forget the full stops. It's a minor thing, but it looks better. Beg your pardon? Okay, and here, although Scotland was initially the highest what, I wonder? So perhaps although Scotland initially showed the highest, let's say, numbers for the precipitations or something like this. Okay, so this would be more appropriate. Okay, and the final paragraph. Overall, while England and Wales experienced an upward trend over the 12-month period, Scotland showed a downward trend. I don't think we should repeat the word trend. So yes, you're trying to use topical vocabulary, that's great, but you can say it differently. You can use a different structure for Scotland here. You can say Scotland, the rains in Scotland decreased gradually over the same period, something like, or over the same time, not to repeat the word period. Okay. Thus, it's easy to observe that the three countries' rainfall rate registered numerous fluctuations, not just had some fluctuations. But I really like the fact that you have a concluding paragraph. You can reduce it to a concluding sentence. You don't really need a paragraph. So anyway, this is a nice answer. Nice answer. Just take into account everything I said and rewrite, and it will become better. Now let's have a look at the essay now. Okay. So that's the extended business hours for shops. Having shops open for additional working times nearly every day benefits the society economically and financially, comma. Yet there are some undeniable drawbacks regarding this development. I would say in this development. In modern society here repeats, this causes an excess of controversy. Do you mean controversy? I'm not sure what you mean here. Not sure. If you mean controversy, why controversy? I don't see the, controversy is, a hot debated topic that provokes a lot of opposed opinions. Let's say abortion, right? That's a topic of controversy. But I'm not sure what you mean here. Punctuation. However, I firmly believe that in today's market economy, the advantages of this trend far outnumber the downsides. Okay, nice structure. This essay will discuss both views using examples from this and that to demonstrate points and typically support arguments, right? Okay, I like the fact that you announce your stance right away. I am only not sure of this sentence. And if I'm not sure of this, this doesn't really add to the coherence of your introduction because it's connected to the position that you take. So perhaps you could rewrite this. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that supports the idea of continued working hours benefiting local community, enriching job market, and boosting economy. Okay, so these are the arguments, but I don't think the wording is completely clear in terms of grammaticality. Let's see how I can fix this. On the one hand, there's ample evidence that supports the idea of, let's say, of the benefit in continued working hours for shops. No, in the idea of continued working hours, bringing benefits to the local community, which would be, namely, enriching the job market and boosting the country's economy. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, extra staff will be required to cover different day-night. What do you mean by day-night shifts? Do you mean both day and night shifts, or do you mean 24-hour shifts? What kind of shifts do you mean? And on weekends, which means a substantial rise in employment. Okay. Wait, I'm lost. So you have explained the reasons here. Perhaps you could do it like this. There's ample evidence that supports the idea of continued working hours, bringing benefits to the local community. And you have this, right? And this perhaps should go here. And the central reason behind this is twofold. And I would go, and namely, enriching the job market or expanding the job market and boosting the country's economy, right? So you would announce it like this. I wouldn't say enriching, I would say expanding the job market and boosting the country's economy. Firstly, extra staff will be required to cover various, the increased number of shifts, including weekends, which will mean a substantial rise in employment. Okay. Secondly, this needs to be rewritten with more and more income, let's say, earned by whoever business. With more and more income earned, business owners will pay more taxes, which can be used by governments not only to improve infrastructure but also to build new schools and hospitals. That's a bit far-fetched, but perhaps this should be broken down a bit. Something like business owners will pay more taxes, which will be used by governments to, let's say, contribute to the flourishing of the local economy and more specifically, improving infrastructure as well as building new schools and hospitals. So perhaps you could add a bit more explanation, just a couple of words in between, just as I did, to make sure that everything is clear in terms of boosting economy. For example, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that taxes comprise almost 3/4 of the budget to be spent on amenities. This needs to be better connected to the previous idea, because you simply say that taxes comprise 3/4 of budgets to be spent on amenities. So make the connection between the amenities and the extra shop hours, the final connection. Thus, it is conclusively clear that if shops are permitted to serve their customers, if shops were permitted, because then you have would, that's a different kind of conditional, to serve the customers more frequently throughout the week, or to serve the customers and stay open for longer hours throughout the week, there would be positive consequences in terms of enhanced recruitment. I wouldn't use the word recruitment. I would say enhanced, let's say, job outlook, as well as economic growth and public welfare. Okay, yeah. The ideas are clear. Just revise my remarks and try to rewrite using partly my formulations, or choose your own, but you got the idea. On the other hand, some people argue that through this change in opening hours, problems associated with overspending and traffic congestions could arise. I would move the verb somehow to the beginning, but no, never mind. This is appropriate anyway. This is due to the fact that with excessive daily exposure to a wide variety of products that allure to people, redundant goods are more likely to be bought every time a market is visited, leading to a waste of money. I get your idea, but this is very, very wordy, and this is very cumbersome, very difficult to understand because of the convoluted structures. Perhaps, okay. And you see here, you also have a two directions for this, let's say, explanation of the negative repercussion. So first you discuss the overspending, right? So if you say this is due, you refer to both, which is not about this. So you could go and add a linking word, something like referring to overspending or consumerism. Find another way of saying overspending. Consumerism is not the best word, but that's the idea. So in terms of overspending, due to the fact that customers have more exposure to a wide variety of products, to a wide variety of alluring products, people are more likely to buy unnecessary goods, or to just shop for pleasure every time they visit not a market, let's say a store, which leads to a waste of money. Okay. Also, then As for the traffic, the more times, I wouldn't say, the longer shopping centers are open, the greater the chance of overcrowded roads with cars and vehicles is B. This is ungrammatical. You probably mean the longer shopping centers are open, the more traffic there is, or the more overcrowded the roads are with vehicles. You don't need cars and vehicles because this is the same thing. This is redundant. To illustrate, an extensive study done at Oxford University showed a correlation between constant road delays in areas around shopping markets operating 7 days a week. Okay, therefore, it is possible to state beyond doubt that planned expenditure and traffic conditions might be, I wouldn't say planned expenditure, I would say people's expenditure, or let's say customers' spending habits and traffic conditions might be negatively affected by what? You need to say by what. To conclude, from the arguments and examples given, I strongly feel that despite the existence, or despite several, you don't even need this, despite several serious applications, the positives of extra shopping hours for a city and its citizens both from a financial and economic perspectives, are invaluable. I wouldn't say invaluable. Whatever you explained here in your positive paragraph, I wouldn't say they are invaluable, but I would tone down this adjective a bit and replace it by a less extreme one. Let's say are very valuable, something like this, just to stay in the same paragraph. Okay, so yes, this is a very nice essay. Just make sure that we always stay coherent, and we make sure that you take care of your sentence structure, because sometimes you write in a very sophisticated way, unnecessarily sophisticated way. But I can see that you have a very good command of vocabulary, and you are consistently trying to use complex grammatical structures, which is great. Just make sure that you don't overuse passive, you don't overuse very long sentence structures, and make sure that you always have clear cohesion, clear connection between ideas, and well-placed cohesive devices like linking words. So this is it, and good luck.